Well, hello everybody and welcome to this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm Kesenya, your Astro Weather Girl. I want to empower you through the tool of astrology this week. And this week we're looking at the energies falling between the 18th to the 25th of September and everything that's playing out astrologically. Now remember that, guys, that this is a general reading. There's lots going on in the world at the moment and we are very much under the collective influence of the Saturn-Uranus square to one another. It's been playing out all year. There's still one more to go, and this is why there's been so much upheaval in the world. But this reading is more for a personal look at a passing influence that's coming this week rather than an analysis of the ongoing collective situation. Okay, so just so people know. So what are the best days for us individually this week? Well, of course, be conscious of the void of course moon and avoid instigating anything under its energy. For those who don't know what a void of course moon is, the moon becomes void of course once it has made its last aspect in a sign before then moving into the next sign. So that's what a void of course moon is. And of course that occurs roughly, give or take a little bit, roughly every 2 days, generally speaking. So you want to keep an eye on that. Use an app like iLuna if you need it to find out if the moon is void of course, because when we take action when the moon is void of course, nothing's going to come of what we aspire to achieve. So it's not very helpful. So what are the good days this week? Void of course moon aside, do check in on that. But the 18th is going to be a good day. And this is going to be a good day to grow something, to enhance something, to expand your boundaries in some way in the world. You might be like growing a friendship, growing your bank account, growing a project or something like that. It's a great day for putting action into those things. You will feel luckier and you'll also be able to take more risks that can pay off under this energy also. On the 24th and the 25th, we've got a couple of good days there that are terrific if you want to reinvent yourself, if you want to turn over a new leaf, take action to dissolve some unwanted habits or attitudes or beliefs out of your life. These are great days to work with the energies to do those sorts of things. And we don't have any planets that are out of bounds this week either. So a bit more of a steady influence this week as opposed to last week, which was full of lots of action and momentum and moving forward and out of bounds planets and all that lovely stuff. Now I'm getting older, so I need my glasses. So what are this week's energy focuses? Well, I'll sum them up in a nutshell for you. This week we have, on September 21st, a beautiful full moon in Pisces, the romantic, ethereal, spiritual sign of Pisces. So gorgeous full moon in Pisces. If you want to detail your own sign and the forecast for your sign, just pop over to my Patreon page. You can sign up for a month and see what's going on the Patreon page, have access to the whole back catalogue, and get your download for what you need to know for the full moon in Pisces this week. On September the 23rd, we have the sun ingressing into Libra. Here it is here sitting at the right on cusp point between Virgo and Libra. I can't wait for the sun to move into Libra. I always have a wonderful month whenever the sun is in Libra. And it's equinox time, which means, according to the declinations, the sun is at the halfway point or the midpoint between the two tropics. And so this is when we have equal days and nights. The nights are as long as the days and the days are as long as the nights. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Well, it does matter where you are in the world, but generally speaking, for the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere, that's how we roll. So it's a great time if you're into celebrating the solstices and equinoxes, etc. It's a great time to celebrate in true Marbon, autumn equinox style, or Ostara, spring equinox style, in any way that feels good to you. I'm going to go on a spring equinox evening picnic somewhere absolutely beautiful, probably way out of town, out by a beautiful river and under the red gums or something, and I'll just sit and watch the stars come out. So a little private, personal, well, you all know about it now, so it's not so personal anymore, but that will be my spring equinox celebration plans. What are you doing? Maybe you leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you're up to for spring equinox or autumn equinox in the Northern Hemisphere. Well, September the 23rd is going to be a key day because it is sun into Libra, autumn equinox. And we're also seeing Venus making an opposition to Uranus. I'll draw it in for us, just in case you want to know how it plays out. Here is Venus in Scorpio, here is Uranus in Taurus. They are sitting exactly opposite one another. We're going to talk about that very soon. So that's happening on the 23rd as well. And then on the 25th, we're having a trine between two malefic planets in the Vedic system, between Mars and between Saturn. Here is Saturn and here is Mars. So they're two malefic planets, but they're making a very fortuitous aspect, that lovely trine between two air signs, Libra and Aquarius. So that's going to be... Let's look at this week's special focus, and we're looking at September 23, Venus opposite Uranus. You'll be feeling excited. There is excitement in the air. There might be even someone in your sphere that's causing fireworks in your life now, for better or worse. It doesn't have to always be, fantastic fireworks. Sometimes it can be fireworks. But that's because when we have an opposition, it represents you and someone else. So there is always activity that is being stirred up externally when we have an opposition in the chart between two planets. So when we have a conjunction, often the changes that it represents, when two planets sit together in the sky, the changes that are represented by that come from inside of us. We generate the change, we choose the change, we initiate the change. But when we have an opposition like this, it's indicating to us that there is something going on external to us. Something's going to change based on the actions of somebody else, or something out there in the world that changes our lives in some way. There are butterflies with this one. So it can be positive, like butterflies over a new love. Yes, that's par for the course with a Venus opposition to Uranus. So Venus is the planet of relationship. Uranus is the planet of sudden excitement and the unexpected and things happening out of the blue. So that sort of butterflies of love could be something. But shocking behavior from a partner. Venus, remember, is relationships, and Uranus is very shocking. Uranus rules things like volcanoes and earthquakes, things that really shake us up. So shocking behavior from a partner can also be a way this expresses as well. Now, the people we will meet at this time will be very interesting. They're going to be not your average run-of-the-mill people. They will be exceptional in some way. And if nothing else, they're going to shake us out of a rut with our thinking, or our attitude, or our relationships, or our views about money. Maybe they might even just change our expectations of what is pleasurable and what is not. Uranus is to change. Uranus is never stagnant, never stuck. It's the higher octave of Mercury, which is actually a restless energy. So it's like double whammy energy of restlessness. So we're going to be really shaken up with what Venus represents, like I just said, relationships, money, pleasure, blah, 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 all that beautiful stuff that the goddess of love has allegiance to. So Venus is also the planet of appearance. It rules Taurus, where Uranus is currently sitting in the sky. So because of this, we may be about to undergo some sort of liberating Uranus transformation in our life, especially if we are ruled by Venus, not Libra. We're ruled by Venus, i.e. we have a strong Libran influence or a strong Taurus influence. We might be about to undergo some sort of liberating change or transformation in our life. Now, it could simply relate to our appearance. It could just be that we choose new makeup colors or different clothing or a whole new energetic vibe in our persona that we want to be giving off. It could be simple like that. For others who have maybe key planets at this point, which happens to be the 14th degree of Scorpio and Taurus, if we have planets around there, or maybe a rising degree, midheaven degree, that sort of thing. If we have our first house lord sitting there, especially, that could be very powerful. Then we may find that our whole life is about to be shaken up in some way. Now, this again will usually be in response to the influence of somebody else. Somebody inspires us to change. Maybe they even stress us into making a change. Uranus doesn't actually rule stress itself. That's a Saturn-dominated territory. But the pressure of needing to change could be felt. We're kind of feeling like the oh my God, things are about to shift, and it's not like the rug's being pulled out from under you, but you just are feeling like, wow, my world is about to turn around 180 degrees. So either way, change is coming your way. If you have planets or key degrees around 14 degrees of Taurus or Scorpio, I need to go check my chart. I don't think I have a cusp there. I can't recall. I don't usually work with the cusps of Placidus or Campanus, or Koch, or any of those other cusp systems. But you could even consider that if you were really in need of a change and looking for some hope that it will happen. Check out that. You could, now if we really want to get into things here, you could even look at things like your Anticia degrees or midpoint degrees, but that's rather advanced astrology that requires some good software to discover. But yes, if you're hungering for change, try and find something that's there, that's important in your life, and it might indicate and herald a shift in some way for you. Let's break it down for all signs. So we are looking at 14 degrees, as I said, of Scorpio and Taurus, and we might start with Taurus, get them going off the bat. And of course, we've got this falling on your relationship axis, Taurus, because here is Taurus and here is Scorpio, your 7th house, the house of other people, the house of relationships and marriage and business partnerships and all that stuff. So it's time for a big change in your image. How are you presenting to the world? What is your appearance like? Do you feel liberated by how you look, or do you feel restricted by how you look? You might be making some big shake-ups, some big changes in that realm. You might also be feeling somewhat rebellious under this influence, like I need freedom, I need independence in my life, and I need to stick it to the man kind of thing. But there's also a need, with this being on the relationship axis, a need for freedom from potentially a loved one, a partner. Could even be a business partner that you're needing freedom from. But if it is a loved one, it's not saying, oh, divorce is on the cards. No, it's not saying that. What it is saying is that you might need to take a little bit of space. Uranus wants to detach. It is a very autonomous energy, and so there is potentially the need to, just take a day out for yourself and go somewhere by yourself. To sort of leave your partner and to their friends or their whatever they're up to, their hobbies or whatever, and you just go and have a good time and do what you need to do for yourself. Be independent, be autonomous if you need to be. Take a little space. You might be the one with the out-of-the-box behavior within the context of your relationships right now. So we're seeing Uranus in the 1st house of you. Uranus is that kooky, unexpected, eccentric kind of energy, and it's being directed to Venus, the soft, loving, flowing, feminine kind of receptive energy. Whether you're a man or a woman, that receptive energy that we can tap into is in the 7th house of others. So you might be the one, Taurus, who's acting a little erratic, strange, kooky, all those words we associate with Uranus, but you can channel it for good. You could do something surprising for your loved one, for your partner. You could, be the one to do something spontaneous or interesting, or sudden romance and sweep them off their feet. You could utilize that energy for good. Women in your life might be confused by your behavior right now. Now that's, if you're a woman and you've got girlfriends or daughters or something, the women in your life might be looking at what you're doing going, hang on, that doesn't add up with what you said the other day. There's sort of you're acting erratic and kooky and what have you, which is fine. It's how we're wired at this time with this transit. And the women in your life and around you, Venus is women, might be looking at you going, it doesn't make sense, it's a bit kooky, why are you doing this, they might be confused. Uranus, isn't the planet of confusion, but your behavior might be confusing to them. Now, for some people who have had a building up of energy in this realm, especially if, say, Uranus is crossing your ascendant degree, Taurus, this might trigger some severing of romantic relationships that have run out of gas, but it would need to have been building for a while. Uranus rules divorce, and in this position, transiting position, it will mean if your relationship has no fire, has no flame any longer, that Uranus wants to liberate you, or you want to feel liberated and free and independent, and so you might instigate the change. And of course, Venus being the planet of relationships in opposition, the change in the relationships is coming from you. So that's only for some people. And of course, if you've been in a state of turmoil regarding a relationship, then, maybe that's a message that you might need to take on board. Can I just say on that topic too, and I've had a lot of readings lately for people who are wanting to know, should they be in a relationship or not? And is the one I'm currently in the one that's meant for me? All those sorts of questions. Really, the best thing to do is get a hold of the book, Too Good to Leave, Too Bad to Stay. Brilliant, brilliant book. When I was going through my divorce, and I was very much involved in, at the time, the church, and it was very taboo to go and get divorced, and there was a lot of ostracization because of that. But this book helped support me so much to make a decision that was in the best interest of me, and I haven't regretted that for a minute. So if you are in that position, and I'm not saying everybody who is Taurus will be, but if you are, or if you know somebody who is, that book is gold. So just heads up there. Okay, moving along to Gemini rising, sun or moon people. The energy of our beautiful opposition from, beautiful. I love spontaneous Uranian energy, but some people might not like that, so it depends who you are. But Uranus opposition to Venus is falling in the 12th and the 6th house. What does this mean? Well, it might mean that somebody comes into your life to help you break out of a feeling of bondage or a feeling of entrapment, because this axis does have connections to our maybe karmic bondages, bonded, like where we're caught in a karmic loop of behavior or ideas that we keep spinning in. So it can be very good to be liberated from that, to be broken out of that, and somebody might come in and help you with some karmic bondage or karmic loop that you're stuck in. It could also be that you are, somebody comes along and helps you break out of debt or break away from a situation where you're not liberated, maybe by giving you more education or giving you an opportunity or something like that. There's a breaking away from some old way of being that's had you sort of feeling like you're a captive. You might be the one who helps someone else break through some chains of victimization in their life, and or break away from some sort of disadvantage in their life. So that could be wonderful. Have your compassionate glasses on, everybody, and look for, well, how can I help? How can I heal? How can I serve people out there? This is one of those energies that's going to give you the opportunity to do so, perhaps in a very revolutionary and humanitarian way as well. Uranus is connected to those things. You could be revolutionizing your diet because Venus rules food. It's in the house of diet and it's sitting opposite Uranus, the planet of revolution. So for you guys, Gemini, you might suddenly decide, that's it, no more chocolate. I am going to eat pure and healthy and clean, revolutionizing your diet, or no more takeaways, that's it, we're going salads only, that kind of thing. So there's a revolution occurring in your routines, which obviously includes diet, but there could be a sudden inspiration to clean up your life in some way. The 6th house has to do with cleaning up your life, and of course with Venus there, it's for the purposes of beautifying your life. So maybe, you've got a walk-in wardrobe, it's overflowing, and you've got bits and pieces everywhere, and you decide, I'm going to clean up my walk-in wardrobe, and all of a sudden it's one of the most beautiful spaces in your home, and it's looking lovely, and everything's color coordinated, and all that stuff. So revolutionizing, or being inspired rather, to clean up your world, your realm where you live, what you use in your daily routines, that makes it more beautiful. Meeting an unusual spiritual person can occur under this transit as well. So that it might mean that you sort of encounter them online, and you're Googling for something, and there's a YouTube video all about something you're really interested in, and you discover some unusual spiritual person who then goes on to be an influence for good in your life in some way. There's also potentially some karmic interactions with women that might help you burn old habits and behaviors, which I did mention earlier, but I probably failed to mention that it's most likely to be a woman who does that for you, because Venus rules women. All right, Cancer rising, sun or moon people. the energy of this opposition between the planet Uranus and Venus is falling for you in the 11th and 5th houses. Now, this could indicate for us, especially if you have planets or a key point like a rising degree sitting at around 14 degrees of either Scorpio or Taurus, it will tell us that, or it says that you may therefore encounter a woman who inspires you to join a cause or join a group or take some humanitarian action in some way. A woman will be the catalyst for something like that in your life this week. There might be some changes in the dynamics of your friendships with women. Not intimate relationships with women, your friendships with women. So, you might be in a beautiful circle of friends, and then something happens. There's something outside of you, something you can't control, occurs out of the blue. You didn't see it coming, and the whole dynamic of your friendship group shifts in some way. So, for better or worse, can go both ways. You might be inspired through some female friend. They might be a catalyst for you to, get some creative idea or come up with an inspirational concept for a novel or something that you want to write. So a woman might provide some source of inspiration for you. You might meet unusual new people who are maybe a bit bohemian or a bit eccentric, a bit alternative, maybe part of some subculture of some sort. And these people can become your friends, can enter into your friendship group now. You might also get a sudden increase in notoriety for good, like celebrity notoriety, Now, that doesn't mean that suddenly you're going to go from being an influencer with 1,000 followers to sort of having 1 million. I'm not talking about that kind of effect. But, you might see a rise this week around the 23rd of interest in what you're doing. If you're an influencer, I don't know, maybe you get 500 new subscribers all of a sudden. You're like, whoa, what happened there? So there could be a rise in notoriety and popularity and celebrity. You might be also feeling very wildly glamorous, just for no apparent reason. Like you get up in the morning in Australia, in many states we're still in lockdown. So you've got nowhere to go, but you get up and you think, you know what, I'm putting on my red lipstick today. I'm getting out of my slippers. I'm going to glam it up even just at home. And for no reason, you think, stuff it, I'm gonna be Marilyn today, or super glamorous. This is also an axis for falling suddenly in love, Cancer people. So it, you could meet someone in all sorts of situations, but it is an indication when Uranus and Venus are opposite one another for love at first sight. If you've taken my course, and I hope you all have, taken my course in learning to understand when love will come into a person's life, if you want to be an astrologer, that's a really good course to do because it's the number one question we all get asked: when am I going to fall in love again? Then you will know that this is one of the triggers. But mostly it's a trigger when you've got Uranus transiting and making an aspect to your natal Venus placement by opposition or trine or square. This is a transiting Uranus opposite Venus configuration. But let's say you might have Venus down here in Scorpio at 14 degrees in your natal chart. Start rubbing your hands together, guys. I mean, honestly, you actually need more than just one trigger happening at once. Again, if you've done that course, you'll know what I'm talking about. But this is a good one, This is a good one. And it might just mean that you go out on a date and you're just like, wow, that was exceptional. I'd like to see that person again. There's this feeling of, excitement, butterflies, electricity about being with somebody. Whether that lasts or not, it's kind of not, doesn't really matter because Uranus is very on again, off again. It rules electricity. It's like an electricity switch. Flick, 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 on again, off again. And if this is the only influence causing a relationship to occur in your life, then it's likely the relationship won't go the long term, but enjoy it while it lasts, garner the pleasure out of it that you can. Enough of the whole love thing. The fifth house is love and dating and stuff, but it's also lovers and children are seen from the fifth house. So if you are in a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of relationship, and if you have children and you're a Cancer rising sun or moon person, then your children or your lovers could behave rather erratically or unexpectedly or, inspirationally, just sort of spontaneous. That's the word I'm trying to come up with. I'm not very spontaneous with my spontaneity, if that's a word. But you might find that they in your sphere are acting very unusually and not according to what you might usually expect. That could be interesting. You could also, just to conclude for you Cancer people, encounter some sort of inspiring new hobby that you fall in love with. And it probably has something to do with beautification. Venus is art and beauty. So it could mean you discover a new delight in watercolor painting or something like that. Some new hobby that's very much about art or beauty, and you just love it. So that could happen suddenly for you this week. Leo rising, sun or moon people. There we are. You've got this falling on an axis, an angular house axis, so the 4th house to the 10th house, and that makes it very important. When we have things occurring in our angular houses, they have a bit more punch, they have a bit more weight. So there might be a female in your career sphere who becomes very influential on you this week, for better or worse. They're going to have an influence. You might also get a quick taste of renown. This is the house of our reputation, 10th house. And so there could be some sudden rise in reputation. Like suddenly everybody's talking about us for some reason or another. And where, not that this is, Uranus has nothing to do with gossip, actually. It's not about gossip. But our sense of, our notoriety in the world gets a shake-up, gets a change. And of course, that could mean, that all of a sudden everybody knows who we are. But it could also mean that we only have 15 minutes of fame and then we're back down to normal. But it could also mean that suddenly nobody wants to know us. Oh, no, there's that person. Oh, but it will be short-lived in whatever form your change to reputation takes. It's not going to be long-lasting. Now, some people who've got significant planets or points around 14 degrees of particularly Taurus, but maybe Scorpio as well, might change careers unexpectedly, or they could move into handling a more aesthetically based project at work. So let's say you're designing, you've got a winery and you need to design a wine bottle label. Well, that might be on the cards this week. You have to move from producing the wine to designing the label. So you may be taking on a very artistic project at work this week. There might be an unexpected desire that comes to you all of a sudden out of the blue to renovate your home, to beautify it in some way, make a change that makes it a more luxurious or comfortable place to be. Venus likes comfort. So you will shake up your home life and your home sphere and the aesthetics of your home. You may also need to shake up your domestic life all round. Maybe somebody's not pulling their weight and you're doing all the domestic work and it's like, I can't keep doing this. So you need to shake up who's doing what and what domestic routine that you have with your family. I'm a Leo sun. I probably need to do that with my kids, to be honest. They've been in lockdown for weeks with me and taking the way things are very much for granted. Okay, there's my Uranus opposite Venus influence playing out already. Family members. This is a house of family. 4th house is family. So family members might be behaving a bit unexpectedly, a bit erratically, a bit sort of unpredictably. Okay, just forewarned is forearmed on that one. Now, in the southern hemisphere, we're in, as I mentioned in the intro, in our spring equinox season. As the sun moves into Libra, we enter into spring equinox. Now, that will mean, for those of us in the southern hemisphere, spring cleaning is on the cards, and this is an energy that says, you'll suddenly get the desire to get the duster out and the vacuum cleaner and, clean out the cupboards and stuff. This will be on the cards, especially in the southern hemisphere. Now, some people might actually move to a more luxurious, beautiful home, because Venus is luxury, Venus is beauty, and Uranus is to influence things suddenly. Now, if you do, it's probably going to be because something outside of you, remember the opposition is something outside of you, has caused you to need to do this. So it could be that your landlord, where you're renting, has said, look, I have to terminate the rental agreement in a week. and you're like, oh my goodness, where am I going to go? And you know, maybe an offer comes up for some house that's usually used for an Airbnb, but because in Australia we're in lockdowns, nobody's going on holidays to Airbnbs, that's available for a full-time rental now because people need to make money. So you get to go and stay and live in a beautiful place that's luxurious and relaxing, maybe in a holiday destination or something like that. Now, that's just a scenario, could play out in many different ways, but for some people, especially if they've got, say, their IC in conjunction, their lowest point in the sky, with Venus, it will mean that they, well, not will, it may mean that they will move to a more luxurious location suddenly and unexpectedly. All right, for Virgo rising, sun or moon people, thank you for joining us this week, lovely Virgo people. I hope you are all enjoying the repercussions of the new moon that occurred in your sign. Virgo people, well, I should explain what's going on, shouldn't I? Uranus is opposite Neptune in your 9th house and Venus in, I said Neptune, didn't I? Uranus is opposite Venus in the 9th house and the 3rd house. I'll get it right. Sorry, guys. So father figures, neighbors, and siblings, especially if you have female siblings, they might be doing something rather unexpected, rather surprising, rather shocking around the 23rd, you know, and you're like, what? I never thought they'd do that. Or, my goodness, my neighbour's behaving very eccentrically next door. I better go check that he's okay or something. You know, there is this erratic, unexpected energy in those people groups. Now, if you are studying something that's a bit Venusian, a bit artistic or musical, you might actually experience some disruptions in your studies under this influence. So don't be surprised if, you know, like maybe you had to sit an exam for your piano exam or something like that, and suddenly it had to get postponed. Don't be surprised if those sorts of things occur, especially in the fields of art and music. You might be feeling very restless too. There might be the sudden urge to travel, even localized travel, you know, to go away for a weekend. It doesn't, well, maybe, I was going to say, it doesn't denote a dirty weekend, but it actually, maybe it could, because Venus is in the sexy sign of Scorpio. So look, you might desire, to get away from it all and go have a dirty weekend. But really, it just means restlessness. And you might be feeling restless with your life, in your mind, in your thinking, in just whatever circumstances you're in. You're like, I need change. I need to make a break. And so you do something, you know, you go somewhere, you take a road trip, or, you know, just go for a sojourn somewhere, maybe a picnic somewhere one day, just spice things up, change things up from the routine, mundane, and the ordinary. So, you know, listen to that sudden urge to travel. It's coming from your the energy of the day for you Virgo people, and enjoy. Roll with it. Okay, Libra. Beautiful Librans. It's now Libro. Sounds like a cigarette, doesn't it? Marlboro. No, Libra people, the sun is now in your sign. It is Libra season. I love Libra season. And this is a time, very excitingly for we Librans, the Uranus is in your 8th house and Venus is in the 2nd house. This is a financial axis. And the 8th house is the house of sudden windfalls, inheritances, or just opportunities to generate more income, more personal security. So what could happen is that you suddenly get some opportunity, some lucky thing comes your way. It's not a house of luck, but Uranus in the 8th house Uranus is very much at home in the 8th house. It's like he's in his element in the 8th house. And that sudden, unexpected kind of energy can relate to what the 8th house rules, which, as we know, is getting inheritances or receiving material goods from somebody else outside of us, not material goods that we generate. So that could happen in some way. There is also, because Venus is in the house of our own personal security and the house of the resources that we do generate for ourselves, there is the chance that this lucky opportunity or a windfall or something that occurs is going to help us build a more beautiful self-sufficiency in our life. I love the sound of that. Doesn't that sound great? So this may also be for some people an opportunity to invest in electronics or the internet. And I'm not saying that you need to go hunting this out. That's not what you need to be doing. But If somebody approaches you, so remember the opposition is people outside of us. If somebody approaches you and says, hey, I've got this really, great thing that I'm involved in, you should check it out. Well, check it out, because the other person is going to potentially offer you the chance to look into some, electronic investments, internet investments, maybe even Bitcoin or something like that. I don't know. But don't pay attention to those stupid phone messages that come through. And I get heaps of them. You'll notice them in the comments section until I delete them, all the Bitcoin BS. Anyhow, that aside, you might get an opportunity presented to you to be involved in some investment. Do your research. I'll never encourage anyone to just, Kesenya said, go and invest in whatever. No, do your research. Due diligence is important no matter who you are. And if you feel it's right, trust your gut. The energy could be on your side for that to be very valuable for you. There might be a 180-degree turnaround that occurs with issues of self-worth under this influence. Maybe you've always felt less than desirable. Venus rules desire, and how desirable we feel. Now, I've always had issues with that. And this Uranus opposition can be exactly what we need to shake us out of a rut with that, to stir things up, to change things so that we suddenly like, what? I feel like I'm worthy, or my desirability is not crap, We can have a big 180-degree turnaround with self-worth and desirability, Venus in the desirable sign of Scorpio. So big changes come to us with what we value in life as well, because the second house is what we value. And what we think is important. And so as a result of an external life experience, remember the opposition is to look outside of us. As a result of an external life experience, we change our value system. We suddenly see things differently and, have a shift in that regard. There's a strong desire to generate independence with our own resources now as well. So whether you are or are not able to, that's kind of not the point. The point is that you will desire to. You'll want to be independent with your money, with your finances, with your home, it will be a very strong push for you now. It may lead you into taking action that is very helpful towards achieving that. But certainly the emphasis in your heart on that day will be strongly geared towards independence with resources. There is also a desire to break free from material bonds. And as I began this section for Libra saying, you could get a windfall or an inheritance, or some people might be lucky enough to experience that. This is going to tie in beautifully if you have this feeling of I just need to break free from my it's not really a house of debt that we're looking at here, but I feel bonded to the bank or bonded to earning money in a certain manner or a certain way, and along comes something in your life external to you that changes your life and breaks you free from the sense of bondage that you might have to some material way of living. So I hope you're getting my drift there. Thanks, Libra, lovely Libran people. For our Scorpio friends, well, obviously, Venus is falling in your sign and Uranus is falling in the sign opposite. And if you have a rising degree or the sun or the moon at 14 degrees of Scorpio or Taurus, then this is going to be very much strongly felt for you. I feel that someone might come into your life this week who liberates you, who shakes you out of a rut now. Somebody who probably comes in and changes your relationship dynamic. So, it could mean that, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of a scenario that maybe your relationship needed a bit of an injection of rocket fuel, and you come across a counselor, because seventh house is people who do counseling and that sort of thing, offer advice to harmonize and balance life. So some counselor might give you that little dose of rocket fuel that your relationship needs, that gets it out of the rut that it was in. You might encounter, because Uranus is the internet, you might encounter a counselor online for relationships and relationship issues and what have you that helps. and shakes things out of a rut. And if you are in that situation and you're looking for someone, I recommend so highly Esther Perel. Check her out on YouTube. She is gorgeous. I love her. So there you go. Now, when we have these changes that get us out of a rut with relationships, they're going to be fast and they're going to be life-changing, because that's just how Uranus in the 7th house rolls. It's not going to be sort of dilly-dallying or hanging around. For some people who are single, with this aspect going on, you might meet a new partner, potentially. Now, I talked a lot about this when I was talking about the Taurus rising people, because it is their relationship axis as well. You might meet a new partner. It doesn't mean that that partner is going to be in your life forever or a long time, because Uranus is quick and fast and all over Red Rover as soon as you've started, kind of thing. But if there is some other aspect occurring in your chart from Saturn, then it may go for a long term, because Saturn is the marathon run. It's the long distance, the big haul. And if Saturn is getting involved in some aspect in your chart for relationships, and you meet somebody new because Uranus comes in and all of a sudden love at first sight kind of stuff happens, then it's that Saturn element that will give it the longevity it needs. If you want a relationship reading about, meeting new love, finding out when love will come, then pop over to my website, because that seems to be what everybody wants me to do readings for these days. And I love it. I do. I love it. So fast shifts in relationship, meeting a new partner, breaking conservative relationship taboos is also something on the cards. Now, that might mean that you are in a love relationship, a committed partnership, and it might mean that you get it on in a new way, an exciting way, something that's fun, something that's delightful, because Scorpio, we know you guys are very oriented towards that realm of life. You like a bit of getting it on. And here with Venus opposite Uranus, well, you might be into looking at Tantra or visit a toy shop or something like that. It could be a lot of fun for you. So enjoy that pleasure and delight. And of course, Venus rules desire as well. Interestingly, a lot of astrologers will tell you that Mars is the planet of desire. No, actually Venus rules desire, but it is Mars that governs the action we take to achieve our desire. Venus is the desire and Mars goes for the desire. Mars takes the action. So there's been a bit of confusion about that, I've noticed online. So there is a difference. So with this occurring with Venus in the 1st house, there might be an impulsive desire to change your appearance or to turn over a new leaf with the way you look in some way. New haircut, new makeup, new clothes, just a new perfume, even like something that gives you a fresh feeling of something new and different. There's the beautification, Venus in the house of the body, the beautification of the body is at the forefront of your thoughts now. And so you might be thinking, how can I make myself more beautiful? Or get an inspired, Uranus is inspiration, inspired idea for how I can make myself more appealing and more attractive, Venus. Somebody might also change how you view the world. The 1st house is how we kind of show up in the world and instigate action in the world. It's a pioneering energy, and it does correlate to how we see the world. We see the world, in your case, Scorpio, through a scorpionic lens. And so somebody might come into your life from outside of you that changes how you see the world, just ever so slightly, changes the lens a bit. So thank you, Scorpio friends. Let's look now at Sagittarius rising sun or moon people. My gorgeous Sagittarian friends, well, this axis of the Venus opposite to Uranus is occurring for you in the 12th house and the 6th house. Now, this is a very karmic axis. So because Venus is involved, there might be a lot of fated experiences that occur with women for you this week. Unusual people, Uranus, might come into your life. Unusual women, Venus, might come into your life and you feel like, oh, I've known this person before, or they came into my life to turn my life around. I'm not a Sagittarius person, but I did have an experience like that this week. Someone came in and they really held space for me and shifted my energy completely. God bless you if you're watching and you know who you are. But we can have that sort of experience, and goosebump moments can come to us from our interactions with women. That a friend or just a woman that we encounter might say something and we just go, ooh, tingles all over. Uranus rules those goosebump moments. Uranus rules electricity, and our body electricity is obviously our neurological wiring, and goosebumps and things like that. So you can have a goosebump moment through an encounter with a woman this week. You can also suddenly lose a bit of weight, Sagittarius, if that's what you're hoping for. That's wonderful, isn't it? If you need to put on weight, well, it's perhaps not so good. But Venus rules food and what we eat, and Uranus is sudden, unexpected occurrences in the house of diet, 6th house. So usually Uranus correlates more to the loss of weight rather than the gaining of weight. So you might lose those couple of extra kilos or pounds that you're hoping to get rid of. Your work life might get a bit of a shake-up under this energy as well. There might be a bit of a shift in the dynamics at work. Maybe a female adversary at work might behave very strangely, very erratically, and that's because the 6th house has to do with our enemies and our workplaces. And Uranus is erratic, and the feminine energy is coming from Venus here. So if that occurs and someone's just acting a bit kooky at work, you'll be like, aha, Venus opposite Uranus. That's where that's coming from. Your beauty routine might get a bit of a shake up because 6th house is the house of routines. 6th house is to do with what we do on a daily basis, and Venus is beauty, and Uranus is to shake things up. See how the combination works? Your beauty routine might go through a bit of a change. So that's really it in a nutshell, Sagittarius, for what I'm seeing might occur for you this week. Capricorn rising, sun or moon people, loving it. You guys have this energy falling for you in the beautiful 5th house, 11th house axis here, 5th house, 11th house, Venus to Uranus. And this could cause surprising romantic experiences to come your way. Not necessarily experiences where a new lifelong partnership's going to come in, because this is the house, 5th house is the house of dating, romance, all the fun stuff, all the, the heady, head in the clouds and butterflies in the tummy kind of stuff kind of comes along very rarely. But, this is where you might have a surprising romantic experience in your life that you didn't see coming, because Uranus makes things happen suddenly and out of the blue. Equally, you might get a vision for something creative that you want to make that comes to you out of the blue, especially if you work in or are involved in artistic realms. You got Venus in the house of rewards and gains, and this is the rewards and gains for the work that you do, the career that you have, the aspirations that you are trying to achieve. The 11th house is the rewards and gains for the good work that you do, and so basically, if you are involved in Venusian fields, art, music, beautification in any way, food, anything to do with the sensual side of life, like fabric manufacturing, interior design, those sorts of things, anything like that, then you might find that you get a visionary, creative shot of inspiration that comes to you under this energy on the 23rd. Friends this house of friends can introduce you to lovers under this energy. Unexpectedly, you go to a friend's house for a cup of tea, and lo and behold, there she is, the woman of your dreams, that kind of thing. So that can happen very unexpectedly as well. Friends can also behave unexpectedly and erratically too. Don't be surprised if they do something that's a bit kooky or a bit strange, and you're just like, what the heck, you just crack me up, whatever. That could be fun. Also, you might enjoy some bohemian sort of good times with your friends now. You might go out and hear a really alternative band or some alternative music, or go see some sort of performance that's kind of underground or a bit subculture-y. Those sorts of things you might enjoy with your friends as well. Your friends can inspire you to change your look, because Venus is appearance, and in the house of friends opposite Uranus, changing how we appear, and that might come from our friends advising us or giving us the word, hey, those glasses look ridiculous, that kind of thing. Oh, okay. And you make a change. But there can also be gainfulness in a very unexpected way. Venus is money in the house of gainfulness and opposite Uranus. Some unexpected opportunity might come your way, but mostly it will come from your own creative endeavors that, like I said, that bring you an opportunity for gainfulness with this energy. So it could even be just sheer good luck, because Uranus is in the 5th house, which is a house of luck, and one of the 3 lucky houses. So awesome. You might suddenly get good luck that really helps you along in life. Alrighty, we are now up to our Aquarian friends, and we know Aquarius people do make some of the best friends. They're just so friendly. The Aquarius energy is a very friendly energy. So for Aquarius people, the energy of Venus opposite Uranus is falling in the 10th house to the 4th house axis. This is an angular axis, making it very powerful, making it very strong. When things fall in angles, we kind of feel it a little bit more. It's got a bit more emphasis. So for some people, this is actually potentially a little bit challenging. If you have planets or certain degrees of your chart around sort of the 14-degree mark, you might find that it's a difficult time of separation from family or separation from loved ones in some way. So that might mean you've always lived nearby to your sister, and then suddenly she announces she's going to leave and move to the other side of the country or the other side of town or something, and it's like not going to be the same. Change comes with family, with loved ones. Separation is usually involved. A relocation might be on the cards for you potentially with this energy as well, because remember, Venus is the ruler of your 4th house of where you live, and Venus is opposite that now, far away from the 4th house and making an aspect to Uranus, which brings change. So for some people, that will be an instigator of relocating or changing where you live. You might find that people who are in authority in your life, now that could be governments, it could be bosses, it could be, just, authority figures, like judges and things like that. They might be behaving in unexpected ways. We won't see it coming. They do something out of the blue. They do something that we didn't think would ever happen. Uranus is unexpected and didn't see that coming, and Venus in the house of authority, and it will possibly be female authority figures, a female boss or a female project manager that does something that we didn't see coming. We might find now that our career throws us in the path of some maybe more eccentric individuals, people who are really alternative, left of center, march to the beat of their own drum kind of people. It could also be that something happens in your career that causes a change to your finances, because Venus rules finances in the house of the work you do, the career that you aspire to achieve, and it's opposite Uranus, bringing big unexpected changes in. So that can be a thing, but it can also mean that your reputation is suddenly enhanced by the actions of a woman. It could mean that some powerful woman, Venus in the 10th house, and Scorpio is a very powerful sign, Venus up there, a woman, spreads the word about how brilliant you are, and suddenly Uranus is to change. Suddenly your reputation, 10th house, just explodes. It goes through the roof. Everybody knows about you. So there could be some benefit there too, usually coming from outside of you, from perhaps the actions of a woman. Now for Pisces rising, Pisces sun, and Pisces moon people, this energy is falling in your 9th house and 3rd house axis, Venus opposing Uranus. So it could be a day when all of a sudden you discover that you have some very unique talents you never even knew you had. Maybe suddenly you realize that what you've been hearing in your head is actually clairaudience. Oh, that's what that is. Oh my goodness, I didn't know I could do that. Pisces people have a lot of capacity to tap into those sort of visions and clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, all those sorts of things. They just have a natural affinity for those sorts of things and sort of getting it, But it could also be artistic talents. Pisces is extremely artistic, and of course Venus is involved in this aspect as well. Sudden discovery of a very artistic talent or a musical ability you didn't know you had or something. Quite wonderful that way. You could also find, Pisces people, that maybe your siblings or your neighbors act a bit strangely. And certainly I'm Pisces rising, and where we are, we're not in lockdown in the little part of Australia where I am at the moment, but I have noticed that, the neighbours are kind of keeping an eye on one another in Australia these days. Who's conforming, who's not conforming. It's a little bit concerning, I've got to say. So be conscious that on this day, Pisces people, that, there might be some things happening that your neighbours are doing that is a bit weird, a bit out there. Don't be all, Anne Frank about it, like dobbing Anne Frank in kind of thing. Be the one who would hide Anne Frank, That's what we want to see. And just turn a blind eye if they're behaving eccentrically or doing crazy, stupid stuff. It's like, that's their business. Live and let live and move along. You're very good at that anyway, Pisces. So I'm just giving you a heads up. You might notice something like that. But your thoughts are going to be very powerful also. This is the 23rd of September. So your thoughts can be very powerful on this day. And of course, we've already mentioned Pisces can be very, very intuitive. And especially with Uranus in the third house, it's like we get sudden downloads, like a lightning bolt, and we get a goosebumps all over us or tingles down our spine, and we just know the truth. Uranus is truth. So don't be surprised if you get sudden downloads, psychic downloads that are very powerful. But you can also have powerful thoughts such as thoughts of love. Venus is love, and thoughts of romance, thoughts of forgiveness, thoughts of beauty. Beautiful things. And of course, Pisces, you're brilliant at daydreaming. You're brilliant at visioning what you think and feel life should look like. Use that. It is a superpower for you on the 23rd of September. Put a vision out there in the universe. Go into that space where you are feeling right in that moment. You know what it's like, Pisces. Go into that place and put your visions for love and romance and forgiveness and beauty out there to the world. Use this powerful energy of the mind on this day to your advantage. You'll probably be seeing synchronicities everywhere on this day also. Now, other things that could happen. A teacher might uplift you with some alternative perspective that you'd never thought of before, and an insight into something in a way that you never conceived would be a thing. That could be very liberating for you. Fathers, because the ninth house is connected to the life of the father, and you might find that your father is liberating himself in some way, stepping out of his comfort zone, or moving beyond his usual boundaries. That could be good. You might have restlessness to expand your boundaries now as well, but in a beautiful way, in a way that feels good to you. Seeing new places, visiting places of cultural significance that really expand your mind and your understanding of the world. Maybe going to a wonderful art gallery or a fine food market or something, and you're just broadening your horizons. So beautiful energy. Feel into it, Pisces. You're going to have a ball. Okay. Finally, our lovely Aquarians, Aries people, thank you, who have waited till last, and thank you again, Aries people. We have the energy of Venus opposite Uranus falling in the second house to the 8th house axis. This is a financial axis, and of course, when we've got a financial planet like Venus interacting here, it means we have a need for independent sources of income now. Maybe we need to make changes also to our personal value system. We might need to sort of stir the pot a bit and reevaluate our values and reevaluate what we think is important and materially significant in our life. Remember that this is an opposition, so the need to make these changes to our value system is likely to come from outside of you in some way, from somebody else or a circumstance that's a bit beyond your control, and it will cause you to make that change and see things differently. Your intimate partners, Aries, heads up on this one. Intimate partners, Venus in the house of intimate partners, the 8th house, making an opposition to Uranus. Hello. Your intimate partners might want to try something a bit taboo in the bedroom, a bit experimental in the bedroom. So, for some people that could be really fun. That might be what you really get into. And flow with it, Or if your partner comes to you and says, hey, look, I'd like to try something, I'd like to, experiment with this, be open-minded and see where it leads you, because this is the energy of the day. So that could be fun. But it's also possible, Aries, that you might have a very unusual energy in your own desire nature. Venus is our desire nature. Mars, which is often associated with desire, Mars is actually the action to obtain our desire. Mars is an action planet. Venus is the desire. And Venus in the house of sexuality and passion, opposite the unusual and sudden and impulsive energy of Uranus, might say that your desire nature is going to be very unusual to you. You might be like the one saying to your partner, hey, I just got a feeling I want to try this, or why don't we do that, or, whatever. I'm not going to give you examples. I know you'd like them, but I'm not giving them to you. But the desire nature that you have might be just a bit like, wow, where did that come from? That's really quirky. That's really unusual. Not usually like me, but hey, let's go with it. So I want to also point out on the shadow side of this, be careful with interactions with people who have sinister motives. People who are out to pull the rug out from underneath you, especially, I would say women, because Venus is women. In Scorpio, in the 8th house, sinister people is the shadow side of, not enemies, but people with a sort of a dark agenda. And they might suddenly cross your path. You're in a shop browsing at some books or something, and then you go to pay and the person at the register is like just a bit creepy, You just might have an interaction like that with somebody. Might be a woman. So just be aware of that there might be those people in your sphere on this day too because of this energy. But women can also shake you out of a rut in some way that causes you to take back your personal power, because this is the house of power, or rather it's the house of taking back our personal power. It's actually the house of power external to us, and therefore where we need to take our power back from the external source. So there might be something inspirational that happens, or unexpected, or out of the blue that occurs because a woman does something in your life, and suddenly you're like, I'm not taking this anymore. Uranus, the rebel, says, I'm not taking this anymore. That's the last time I'm going to be a doormat. That's it, and you take back your power in some way. So don't be surprised if there's an occurrence of that nature as well, Aries. So there you go, people. That is the wrap up for the week ahead, or at least on the 23rd. How about we close with a prayer like I always do? Energy of love in the universe, we thank you that this week's energy is for surprising love, unexpected love, and beautiful Venusian things in very unforeseen ways. And we just invite in that energy. We open our hearts to that energy because we know that you have our highest good in mind, and we want to welcome that in. And so it is. Well, thank you one and all for joining me for this week's Astro Weather Report. I will have another weather report for you next week, and I will catch you then. Bye.